It's we've been off a couple of weeks. We got the dream team in here tonight. We've got as always, ladies and gentlemen, it's lovely to see you. We've got Mike Reynolds, co-host and the sexiest looking man I've ever met in my life, and we've got the spear throwers in the house tonight. It's lovely to see you. Happy New Year! And before I forget, if you ain't got your Christmas decorations down by the end of tonight, it's bad luck. So anyway, how are we all doing, ladies and gentlemen?
All is well.
Good.
Spearfro, you need a touch up, mate. You're looking a bit blue, or is it me going colourblind?
Green.
You need your mildew. Your mildew is kind of like blue. You need a little bit more. What's the word?
Blue. You need your eyes tested.
I must just say, ladies and gentlemen, for all of you that own Facebook, wherever you are, someone said to me the other day, "Why are you wearing glasses? Because the eyes are the gateway to the soul." And I said, "Yeah, I get that, but these are pinhole glasses, so they allow me to see and read all the comments without using lenses. So that's the reason why I normally wear these. I will take them off during the show. But, yeah, it's lovely to see you all. Guys, I want to start off with I'm trying to start something, and it's in the Darling Buds of May. It's in its early thing, and I want to start something for the people, by the people, something that's going to benefit them, something that they can get involved in and place a little bit of trust. And as it grows and grows and grows, the members get bigger and bigger and bigger. We could potentially really kick off and change many things in this country. Because one thing that's come to my mind in the last year is this country's heavily involved in commerce, and the law is the commercial aspect. So if we can get into the commercial side of things, and if we can change the world and bring it back for the people. Now, I was chatting with a mate of mine earlier who's up north, from Michael and Linda, and Linda piped up that her family, going back a few centuries, started the cooperative. The co-op, as you all know and love, you go and get your fruit and veg and all sorts, and the co-op are involved in all sorts of stuff. And what the premise of it, why it started, because no one had nothing, everyone was struggling, and her granddad, who started the co-op, would go down to the docks, get some goods, some fish, some veg, whatever, bring it up and start dispersing it and selling it cheaply. And that was the very foundation of the co-op. And I've found a bit online the history of the co-op, and it says, in 1844, the Rochdale pioneers founded the modern cooperative movement in Lancashire, England, to provide an affordable alternative to poor quality and adulterated food and provisions, using the surplus to benefit the community. So what I'm trying to say is, if we could start something, and I've spoke to a few truthers out there at the minute, and some of them are getting back to me, some of them ain't. I must make this very clear. It would have to be transparent from the outset. It would be transparent. It would be member based. The members would make the decisions on it. They'd cast a vote. Whatever the majority vote come back through the members would be the decisions made with whatever went on. Bank accounts and website, which this could be driven through a website, would have to be, maybe the website would have to be hosted in another country so that the UK government couldn't take it down here, because we know if this grew, this is just some ideas we're throwing about at the moment. And I'll give you, for instance, if this grew and the members grew and whatever they contributed would go to worthy causes. So, like, we could get to a point where we could do what the police do, self-bond insurance. So that, let's just say you're traveling around your car, you've got a letter from this company, you're self-bonded, and in the event of any problems, this is the thing, they can check it online and you're covered, because that's all insurance is whether someone can get put straight. But this would be something that the members would get back every year, whatever was not, because it would be no skimming off the top. It would go back to the members, and the members would be get given back very much proportions of what they've put in certain areas. So I want ideas. I want something that's open and it's transparent and it works for the people, and it becomes very big and it helps us immensely in every area of your life. What do you reckon, Mike? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, I can go back. I go back 70 years. I'm 71, so I mean, I can go back when I was a little boy. My mum used to belong to the co-op. You have to belong to it.
That's right.
And every time you spent something, you used to go around. Saying perhaps people on there are old enough to remember this. You used to go around. Suppose I spent 10 bob or 50p as it is now, 10 and 6, which would be what's that, 52.5 pence now. I would get it from the cashier. She would give me metal tokens, and the metal tokens were denomination of money. And what you did, you saved them all up, and at the end of the year, you took them back to the co-op. They counted them all up, and they gave you what they call your dividend, which was about a tenth of the or a couple of percent of the value of the amount of money you saved. And that's basically how the co-op worked. You got a dividend. Now the co-op became very politicised because it was heavily supportive of the Labour Party, and the co-op put up members of Parliament. They were supported by the co-op. So and they were in the Labour Party. So it's always been a leftist work for the workers, if you like. But the Labour Party is for the workers. So nowadays, the co-op is a standalone business which supports whatever. But if you go into the co-op, it's not cheap. In fact, it's one of the more expensive supermarkets to shop in. And I think that depends on what it was set up for. People like why isn't it taken on Aldi and Lidl? These is where the co-op should be focusing, not trying to make a profit. Profit, like you're suggesting, wasn't there to make a profit. It was there to give people who are of lesser means a better standard of living at a price they could afford. Now,
that's what we want to do.
That's exactly what. So I think what would be a great idea is if you've got enough. Say you got say lucky, be lucky, and I've got 100,000 people to do this, right? And they all put in every month, say a fiver, right, into this huge pot, and you did that for 1 year. £5, that's £500,000. That's 26 million quid. At the end of the year, if you were investing that into something, whatever you invested it into, because of that sort of money, a lot of people will be really interested in doing business with you. So for 1 year, you do nothing. Save up, and then after that, you can then start saying, right, we will now have wherever our spots are, shops, and we will put food into those shops and sell them at cost. Less the wages, whatever it is. But basically, you would sell what they're selling beans for, which is like £1 you'd be out selling that for about 35 pence. You know, if for argument's sake, because you're taking out the middleman. So all you're taking out is your cost and you're not making a profit to see big shareholders. I'm a capitalist. I believe in shareholders. I believe that if we didn't have dividends, we wouldn't have any pension funds. But this is something beside the point. The point is, it's got away from that. This country's gone away from that. The country's now not the Britain that we know. It's been denigrated by successive governments, taking the piss out of people and taking away the basic rights, what they're doing, including now the ability to have a demonstration and make noise. They're now legislating that you cannot make a noise, you have to have silent demonstrations. Well, fuck them. I mean, if they think I'm going to stand outside and go, phone me and go, that's not a demonstration, that's our basic rights. Our basic rights are free Englishmen to go and demonstrate and shout your lungs out and say, fuck you, I'm done with you. And that's it. But getting back to the point you made, it's a great idea, Dave. And if we can get it, it's the machinations of getting it all together. And the one word that comes to mind first is trust.
There you go.
Everybody's got to trust that or that group of people, that committee who run it, and that's so you can vote and nominate those if you wanted to. But that's where it starts to come unglued for me.
The Constitution, I guess, as such, would be transparency. There would be no fiddling, no diddling. And here's the thing: those that set this up would be members anyway. So if they ever come unstuck and found themselves in an hour of need, they could then go and ask the group and say, I'm unstuck, I need this, what do you reckon? And the group can make the decision and say 65% say, yeah, you can have the grand or the £2,000 or we'll sort it out for you. I'll come up with this thing, right? Let's say, like you said, there was 100,000 members and then someone's side extension caught fire, and they got a build around, and the builder said it's going to be 60 grand or 40 grand to build a new one. If then the members stuck in a quid each or 50p, before you know it, that 30, 60 grand's there. You give it to the thingy, they rebuild their Bob's Your Uncle. See, this is how the Sikh people operate. And as I was growing up, there was a place in Rochester called Home and Garden, and they were DIY merchants, sold timber, bricks, all that stuff. And I knew them very well, so I didn't live too far from Charlie and Singh. And I always said to them, how do you boys get on? You always seem to have nice cars, big houses. They said, what we do, we're not greedy. Our families, we all come together. We all put in this pot. And then when someone gets married, they get given an house. And I'm thinking, they're smart people. They're smart people. But us, we seem to think we're doing well when we're on our own. We're isolating our own homes, blah, 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 blah. This, what we're trying to put together is something that could work for the people and bring back some unity, not only in that aspect, but from a point of view. If you're part of a group of 100,000 plus people and you got someone coming at your door trying to kick your door in for whatever, if then you're part of this group and then that group goes to these individuals, and we potentially could become the biggest thing in this country, we then take that on and say, there's 100,000 of us now. You want to take this one on, you've got all of us. You're going to come in at us as a company. Now, for instance, many years ago, when this gas regulation thing started, and if it was a good idea, oh, you can't sell boilers, you can't do this, you can't do that, there were certain players that they wouldn't take on, the likes of Wix's, B&Q's, etc., etc. They still sold boilers after these regulations come in, and you could go and buy one off the shelf, take it home and fit it. And I questioned to myself, why was that? Well, the simple answer to that is, and I'm going to go to some comments here, is that they were too big to take on. And was it, someone's obviously done a risk assessment to say, well, if we take Wix's on, we're going to get tied up in this battle, that battle, and we don't know how it's going to go. That's the kind of ethos. I want to become the biggest, or for the people, by the people, one of the biggest things that this country's seen. And because we are all in desperate times now, if we can unify just in that, like, what's a pint of beer? 5 quid, 4 quid. If I would donate to it, because I know that potentially it would help somebody else somewhere down the line that needs an olive branch, needs assistance. You can't go to government, you can't go to a council now when you're in your hour of need, that you can pretty much within an hour get 50 quid, 100 quid, go and get some hot soup and whatever. I want to be there for the people. This thing I want to build is unity for the people, so that when they're desperate, when they're in need, they're sorted. And you know,
yeah, the point I'm making here, Dave, is it sounds like a great idea, and it really is a good idea. However, we have to, you already mentioned the golden word, we'd have to set this up abroad, or because the government would try and destroy it. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the trouble is, of course, the people that we would recruit into this, some of those would be trying to do that very thing. The only people you could really genuinely recruit into it are people who are nominated by members. So suppose us three, Spear Chuck and me and you, were the original 3 members, right? And we said, right, we're only going to recruit people who are interested in doing this, and you know them. Okay, and it acts like a pyramid without the thing of at the end of it, you get fuck all. So us three start off. We say we're going to find 10 people. We get so all of a sudden there's 33 of us. Now the other 30 then got to find 3 people, okay, and just nominate. They don't have to put any money in at all, except perhaps £1 to join.
That's
or,
right.
Whatever it's to join, all right? And that comes into you, and you sit there, and your books are transparent, and we have a company. So all of a sudden you've got a membership, okay? And also the membership does it. Came as yeah, right, Paul. I'll see you there. Yeah. So wait till we get 100,000 members, take the money first. But so basically. So then it branches out, and it just expands through people you know, and the people who recruit you are responsible for the people they recruit. Okay, so basically there would have to be some sort of checks and balances on this, because it would be infiltrated by people, ne'er-do-wells, who want to take advantage of a free handout. Okay, the idea of saying if my house fell down and the membership could say with so millions in the bank could rebuild the house, or we could have our own insurance company, whereby we can afford to go out and do that. But I mean, I think it's got to go a little bit more finesse than that. I think we need to invest, and if we as a group start putting in money, it should just be like putting people's houses together. It should be us buying houses together and forming our own business and buying up houses. And people like you, builders and everything, who better than you that you go around and put a shitty old house in you bought for 200 grand together again, spend a month, 2 months, obviously you get paid for doing it, but you put it back together, all of a sudden the house is worth £500,000. Okay? And you don't sell it, you rent it. And you rent it out to people who in our group who are desperate and looking for somewhere to live. So that's the sort of thing it is. Rather than just focus it on trying to do everything, you get to come to consensus and say, what is it we're trying to achieve? We're trying to do good for the people in these straitened times. Okay. Now, and to give to say we're being shafted. The gas prices have plummeted. They come down 30%. Okay, but we're still told our prices will go up till 2030. Okay, so how does that work? Oil prices are dropping, but we're still paying more for electricity, and gas, which is dropping by. So why are we spending all this money more and more? The government said, "Oh, well, it might only drop to rather than £3,000 next year, it'll only be 2,800." Oh, fuck me! How do you work that out? And this is what we do. So if you were to do this, and if we could get a consensus of a massive amount of people who say, "Yeah, we've had enough of this. Let's form our own business and form our own." Syndicate and have our own. We could buy our own fucking gas and electricity. We'd be so big and powerful. We could take them on. That's taking on the government, and that's winning. Not just being like having little shops, giving their handouts here and there and there. That would be great, but it's not practical. Practical means to take on the big boys and beat them at their own game. Now we've got a lot of people out here who are watching this who are clever, who know about financial services.
Exactly.
I know people who know about financial services who'd be delighted to come in, give their expertise for free, and say to them, this is what you can and can't do, and this is how we can go ahead and do it. And that is the way forward. So rather than have initially things where we all join in and have this, that, and the other, we should focus all that money and get into property and whatever, and get in there and take the people up by building a huge business, a huge amount of money, and then say, now then, you big boys, we don't need you to build our houses for you. We can build our own houses because we've got the money. We can buy our own land. We can go and build the houses that you want to do in our own little enclaves, which are not dependent on government for anything. You could build 10 houses in a little block, which are solar powered, water filtration plant, a lot expensive. Yeah, but we can afford it.
The thing is, Mike, the way I've also looked at this as well is if it grows, and I can't see that it wouldn't grow, and you started implementing things like the self-bonded insurance, all the things that everyone rely on every day that they're getting hammered by the system for. Not only are they coming across and they're seeing a massive benefit, they're taking it away from these big corrupt corporations. Now, I did think about limited company, and I've spoken to a few truthers about the limited company side of things as a member-based thing, and it can be done. Whether or not it's going to be took over or not, I don't know. Government might get a bit funny about it and kick it off. But there's no upper limit to the amount of members. You can have as many members as you like.
I agree with you. I agree, Dave. What I'm saying is, the way if you set out an agenda, a clear agenda, like this is what this company we're setting up this company to do. We're going to form a government, form a company with as many people as want to come. It'll cost you £5 a month, just for argument's sake. I'm not saying it's £5 a month, okay, which covers the administration and everything, okay? But we are going to have that money, and that money's all going to come in. Just suppose we have that's £500,000 a month. With that money, we can invest into stuff. We can start buying into stuff and getting our money to run on. Now, if we had, say, 10 million now with house prices falling, we could go and make absolute killing right now with 10 million quid. Now, if I had 10 million quid, I think exactly what I do right now. Just go and invest it in all the stuff that's going cheap. We know when the market's down, it's time to buy. And this is what we do. And so getting back to the point you're making with this thing, yes, but you need a solid base. You need a solid base to build on. You need collateral. I mean, money coming in is great, but cash ain't cool. Cash ain't king anymore. It's It's that's all very well and good, but things like property, tangible things that you can actually feel and touch, like buying classic cars or buying works of art, that are going to make a lot of money and keep their value. So things go up and down, of course they do, but buying tangible and making a tangible company, and then when you've got that company up and running, then you branch out and say, right, we're going to have well, it was Dave Witcher's convenience stores, and we go out and start buying up and put people to work. So we bring prices that people can afford, because we're not running for profit. We're running to cover costs, and we buy, and that's what we do.
Yeah, be non-profit making. The ones that set it up. I mean, I could see a website where everything's transparent, the values in there, the members are on there, their testimonies are on there. I want to. It'd be a pronged attack, not an attack, because I ain't attacking anything. I just want to go in, because I know that the commerce is what the system runs on. It's what the courts run on. It's what everyone runs on. So if we go into commerce and we not monopolize over it, but we do what we have to do in commerce for the people, by the people, then we get things on a level playing field. And I think courts, police would take a very different attitude if they know the individual that they're after is part of this massive group of people with so much clout behind it and brains that they can deal with things quite simply, which we are starting to really deal with courts and police quite very simply now.
Dave, just before we carry on, this Chris Stanley is just making the point that you're either in the system controlled or you're not. Well, that's the problem, Chris. We are in the system, and we don't want to be controlled. We want to get out of the system, control ourselves. We want to bring back freedom in our own lives and that's control right. What we do, not controlled by the state. Now, the state, when I was a kid, played very little part in daily life. It was all controlled by the local borough council. I've said this before. And that's basically where you want. Well, why can't we take control of our lives and have our own and run our own? We're not breaking the law. We're doing nothing but being what we are, free Englishmen or free people, to come and go and buy and sell the things we want to sell for what? So that's it. It's a shit show out there at the moment, and the government are doing nothing about it. And any government coming in can do fuck all about it anyway. Because all it is there is for them. It's for the elites, not for us. So we have to form our own party, our own business, set our own agendas, and not listen to what these pricks up in Westminster say, because that means nothing to us. Whatever they do to us, it means nothing.
I think it could work. I think it could grow and grow and grow, as well as the beneficial side of it. People will start talking to their friends and families, and they're going to go, wow, they're going to go and check it out, and they're going to come and join it. If it's done properly with minimal interference at the top, and the members are the ones that choose what happens on all issues, with a simple email, do you agree with this, don't you agree with this, and the majority come back, and then that's how it all gets sorted out. I think it could work, and I think now with the internet and technology, it could be quite fast. Like I said, someone said, well, how would it work with like an insurance, self-bonded insurance? Because I asked Google yesterday, what's self-bonded insurance? And self-bonded insurance on Google it's where you've got a pot that if someone got injured or property got injured, it gets sorted out. So that's self-bonded insurance. And then I put in what's self-insurance. Self-insurance is when you're all right in life and you've got plenty that you can cover a loss of a car or damage to a car or whatever yourself. So that's perfect. That's perfect. So these options are out there for us. We don't have to go to Churchill. Now, the fact of Churchill and all these other big insurance companies that have been ripping people off for years is that their directors are sitting in proper plush houses, right? And they're creaming off the top. Big time, because majority of it they're not paying out. They're having a right swindle. So let's go into commerce. Let's get involved in that arena. Let's do something for the people where the members make the decisions. All right. And as I say, those that set this up and run it, they're members as well. So if they find themselves in a time of trouble or they find themselves in a time of need, they go to the members and the members will say yes or no. And I think that way it's all pretty fair. There's no one skimming off the top. There's no one sitting on a yacht in Tobago on the back of the people. And I think if we can do it, we can start small get bigger and branch into different areas as these things arise, providing it all works out square. And I think the world's our oyster. I really do.
Well, the thing is that Mia here said, "Don't be buy with gold." Yeah, we could buy with gold, but you're losing more than you gain, because by buying gold, yes, absolutely, you're then hoping that the value of gold doesn't go down and takes a bit of your money. Well, yes, it goes up and down. It's a bit of this. But a lot of people, you want to go and buy in gold. You can't go to a man in a car, going to buy a Range Rover. You don't go to an ingot and say, "It's an ingot of gold here, mate. I'm buying that Range Rover." You have your gold. He wants cash, or he wants a money transfer. So you can't do that. And what I appreciate, and Dave's spoken about this before, that anything bought with gold and silver cannot be taken away from you, and that's a fact. So
Well,
I mean,
it's not supposed to be, but we know this. We know that the police and
it's supposed to be a fact, but whether it's okay, you can say that. But I mean,
they're rogue. They're rogue, Mike. The system's rogue. It's working under its own devices no more. There's no checks and balances on these people anymore. They're in commerce. They're out to make a buck, and they're going to get it any way they see fit, because they've got a majority system that works. If we had a system that worked, that was growing and became the majority, guess what then becomes the boss?
Well, exactly. The thing is that Chris is going, the government say can't have liberty. Yes, you can have liberty. It's in the Constitution. It's in our Bill of Rights. Every man is free. You know, it's like common law. The law is there to protect us. It's just that they've corrupted the law in their favour, and because they use legalese and dog Latin, we don't understand exactly what they're asking us and what they're accusing us of, and they tie us up in knots, and you get found guilty regardless, because we don't know any different. But that's all changing. People are understanding and listening. Now, as far as revolution, absolutely. Revolution is the only way. They know it and we know it. And that's what they're terrified of. Democracy, mob rule. It's the only thing Roman emperors really got freaked out about. Mob rule. And because the mob in Rome could destroy the Praetorian Guard. No matter how hard the Praetorian Guard fought. There was more people in mob rule prepared to give their lives up for the sake of their well-being and their families. And that's basically what this is coming to now. You'll be forced to make a choice. And the choice you've got is either us or them. Mm. And that's a fact, because we're all in the same boat. It is us against them now. They're all sitting in Parliament getting free beers, not paying for this, not paying that, and the gas and electricity pay. And what are us poor fuckers doing? Sitting there sweating, ain't going to feed your kids, ain't going to pay the mortgage, ain't going to keep up all the stuff you bought when it was good. Now, was it good? Yeah, we thought it was good because it was cheap. But it was cheap money, and it's a fiction. So basically, now we're paying for all that bullshit, all that stuff, like all the free COVID was what destroyed us. It destroyed the world economy, and look what we've got: kids going nuts. You've got people doing the most extraordinary things because they were locked down for 2 years, and that's where it's all going horribly wrong. And the government did it on purpose. We know that. That's why this Fauci in America now is going to be absolutely castigated when they finally get a speaker in Congress, and they're going to expose it. What it is? It's all unraveling, coming apart.
Yeah, big time.
And as it comes apart, we will get more freedom because they've been exposed, and they're going to have to backtrack. They're going to have to give us more to keep us happy. And the more they give us, the more we want. Or it costs us, so it goes a merry-go-round. So basically, we've got to take back control of our lives with what we're proposing now, which is a way to free ourselves from tyranny of the government and success.
There you go, and that's how I see this. That is absolutely how I see this, and I'm telling you now, if I start this thing and I ever get involved in skullduggery online, I tell you, you have the right to fucking hang me. I would never do that. I'd never fucking mug the people off. I really wouldn't. I'm sick of what goes on. Did you see today, Mike? They're now talking about bringing back mask wearing, and they're gonna mandate the mask again. And there's just been a massive gas explosion. A tank has hit a bridge, I think, in South Africa. And you want to see the explosion, and it's blown people everywhere, and there's legs hanging. It was quite bad. I think it's happened today.
Well, we had a lot of gas explosions, don't we? Just generally, just lately.
It was a fuel tank.
Yeah, I saw that. Sorry, what did you say, Speed Checker?
I played that on Saturday on my show. Yeah, it was quite brutal, the explosion.
I saw it. That's about a week or so ago, isn't it? Yeah, it's a massive explosion, killed damage.
What makes me laugh is you get all these courts, right? And you get all these energy companies, Octopus, Bowl, they're going, we're going to take you to court. So we know 100% for a fact that when these energy companies go to court to get this so-called warrant, they're lying and they're perjuring because they're not telling the judge or the magistrates or the clerk that it's a monetary issue that they're after. They tell them that there's a safety issue. So then the clerk or the court goes, okay, cool, we'll give you this thing. In you go under the 19 thingy Electric Act or the Gas Act, which is all fucking fictionless anyway. And then they come in and they do this and that. But the point is this. Not only are they lying to the court, there could be a genuine safety issue. And I'll give you, for instance, when I had my altercation, they disconnected the gas. And this guy that was here this evening, he said, you're going to have the supplier of gas come out and check that. It took them 16 months before an engineer come round and wanted to inspect the thing for a safety issue. I went, you're a bit fucking late, mate. My mate got disconnected at Easy Electric in Maidstone a few weeks ago. And as this guy was in next door's house from the National Grid, he turned around and said, we've got a thing on our computer. You had a disconnection come up about 18 months ago. We're disconnecting you today. So they disconnected him. But these things are all done on safety. But if it's a safety issue, a genuine safety issue, you would like to think that these corporations would be round your house within a matter of 24 hours before things got funky. 16 months down the line is not a safety issue. Trust me. And also, we had that block of flats blow up the other week in Jersey. So let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, if you've got a warrant of execution and they're coming to do this and that, they've gone to court, all these energy companies, and they've lied to the court. We know the courts are in bed. They're all having a fucking swindle. We know that. But they've lied. They've not said it's a monetary issue and apparently nobody can be disconnected between the months of October and March. You can't be cut off. That's in their own stuff. But they do it nonetheless. Because they're blatant liars and they're treasonous. So genuinely, I say to you at home, if they've got a warrant and they want to come into your house, it's because they've lied to the court. They've gone in and said it's a safety issue. And I'm a gas engineer. And it's under the Gas Act of 86 and the Electric Act of 89, right? Where if they think that something's been tampered with or it's unsafe and it's leaking or something funky's going on, they get the power. Let's say, for instance, you're away on holiday, sunning your boobs off in Barbados, and your neighbour rings up and says, I smell gas next door, but they're away. They have to go through a process where they can go to court and then they can get access, rightly so, to your house because nobody's there and make safe. But that's being abused. That element of that, whatever it is being abused because when they go to court, because you ain't paid and the grid, is supplied for. The government, central government pay for all your gas and electric each year. But they go to court and they say, we've got a safety issue. And that's the only reason they're getting these fake warrants printed, signed and sealed. It's disgusting. And of course, they're not proper warrants. You've not been to, so it's hearsay. All of these warrants, all of their chit chat is hearsay because you've not been found guilty in a court of law. But they come in on safety. This is how they're coming in. They're coming in on a safety element. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. They're lying. They're just blatantly lying. And I could do the same. If I'd worked on someone's house and I said, you got a leak there, and they said, well, stuff you, off you go, get off the property. I could go to court and say, there's an issue here, blah, blah, blah. And they'd say, righto, we're going to send the boys round to disconnect and check it out and make it safe. And that's what they do. But they've abused the system. And this is what we have in government, abusing the system. That's all they're doing. They're abusing a pretty decent system. Now, on Monday, I was at a christening. And this young lady in her 30s, Kelly, she was there with her little daughter, and her daughter's about 15, 16 months old, cute as a button. And we started chatting over a bit of vol au vents and that after the christening. And I said, she started chatting. She went, oh, were you one of them 3 men on the ladder? Because we started talking about, and I went, no. I'm not interested in none of that. Anyway, she said, I've just packed up my job, Dave. And I went, why? What was you doing? She said, I was a civil servant. I was in the civil service. And I worked for them for 9 years. I said, why did you leave? She said, because it's corrupt. She said, I started to smell that it was really stinky. She said, and I joined them for the betterment of mankind and decency. She said, and let me tell you now, that institution, the civil service, is a serpent. She said, so I've left. And I went, fair play to you. She's left her job because she knows it's corrupt to the core. It's disgusting, Mike, isn't it?
It's always been the same, Dave. Always been the same, isn't it? I mean, everybody knows that the government's corrupt. Every government's corrupt. I mean, think of any. Go around the world. Think of any government that hasn't got a tainted whiff of snouts in the trough. And that's what you get. And that's what we've got to get away from. But how do you get away from it?
Well,
and the thing is, total power corrupts totally. You know.
There you go.
And that's the problem.
The biggest criminals have always worn suits and ties.
There's no line there. That's the God's honest truth. The biggest criminals have always... Who was it said years ago? I don't know if it was Fred Dibner. He said, men in boiler suits built this country and men in suits destroyed it.
Absolutely right. He was right, wasn't he? That's it.
Yeah, it's true.
What a guy he was.
Anyway,
wow, what a guy.
Is there anything... see, the thing is, I always come on here and I think to myself, is there anything good? Anything funny or good? And it gets depressing.
Well, let's find something good in the NHS. Is anything good going on in the NHS at the moment?
Now, funny you should say that, because that's one of the things I was going to bring up. But as you brought it up, I mean, they're talking about they're putting hundreds of billions of pounds in the NHS, and it still can't cope. And I wonder why. Is it because we've got scarlet fever, TB, all these diseases that were almost wiped out this country? How come they're all back? And how come all our hospitals are full up? And they're all full up with people coming from other countries illegally and going, I'm ill, I'm sick again, put into hospital, and our hospitals are over. So our own indigenous population can't get in because the people from abroad who are coming here illegally are being treated in front of us all. It's an absolute shit show of what this government's done and what successive governments do. And Keir Starmer wants unlimited immigration. Bring as many people in the country as you like. Where the fuck are they all going to live? How do they really think that this country, this tiny little island? I know they're going to have a big houses out on Salisbury Plain. That's basically what they're going to do. That's it. I cannot see the logic behind what they're doing. I mean, in our own country, bit by bit by bit, we are being, as the indigenous population, the white population, I'm not a racist, I can't be, my office is West Indian, but I mean, by the white population, the English population are being systematically destroyed. You go to places in this country now where you're told to fuck off, we're only Pakistanis here, and that was told to me in Bradford. Fuck off, we don't want you here, fuck off, this is Pakistan, this is where Pakistanis live. My friend lives in Norbury. My friend, he calls it Norbury Stan, right? And it's full up with people who are hateful. They want to change this country into the place they fled from. and we are called the white supremacists. I'm white and I'm offended. No, according to you're white, the offender, Paul. You're white and the offender. We're all white supremacists, and we are at the bottom of the heap. I mean, if you take the four races, you take the Chinese, and the Japanese, and you take the Indians and the Pakistanis, and you take the black population, you take the whites. At the bottom of the pile in education is white people. At the top are the Chinese. Okay, and then you got Indians and everything else, and then you got black population and the white people right at the bottom. And we are deliberately being Norbury. It's southwest London, near
Southwest London.
Streatham. Going towards Mitcham, Stratham's horrible. It's not a nice place to live at all. It used to be very affluent in years gone by.
One day, the black supremacists and the white supremacists are going to have to unite.
Well,
when we do, that's when shit's going to go down.
It all comes back
scared of that. They're really scared of that.
Yeah,
it all comes back to what Enoch Powell said in the 70s, doesn't it? Rivers of blood. And he was castigated all his life. for making that speech. And he's absolutely right, because at some point there's going to be a sorting out, and there has to be a sorting out of because you cannot keep oppressing us over and over again, making us pay for stuff that what's the value? Where is the value to us for all these people coming to the country? Oh, we need working population. We've got 2 million. We've got 1.5 million hour work. We've got.
But who's the enemy, Mike?
Sorry.
Who's the enemy? They're not our enemy.
The government's the enemy.
Yeah. One day
just
the black supremacists and the white supremacists are going to have to unite.
Of course.
When that day comes, it means we'll be focusing our attention on the real enemy.
Yeah.
And we know. And we
know. Well, I've just typed into Google, where can I find positive news stories? It says, check these websites often to remind yourself of what's going right in the world. So we've got the Good News Network, founded in 1997. We've got Good. We've got the Optimist Daily. We've got Positive News. We've got HuffPost Good News, and we've got Reasons to be Cheerful. That's what Google says about where you need to go to find what is good and positive in the world of news right now. So this is why we can't find any decent fucking stories to talk about. Look, we don't like bleating like sheep in here. We just want to bring you the good news stories. We do. We'd love to come in here every week, me and Spear, for our mic and say the NHS is so wonderful. They're all sunning their tits off. We're having a nice time. No one's got this illness. No one's going without. We'd love to tell you that the police weren't battering the shit out of no one. We'd love to tell you all these fabulous stories. We really would. And maybe that's why we're doing this, because we want to see a world where we can turn this around and just come and talk great fucking stories every week, like wonderful firefighters and wonderful people doing wonderful things for people up and down around this country. But if we don't focus on what really goes on with the abuses of the system, then it might just creep up on us, and it might be too late that we ain't got time to do fuck all about this. Yeah, we don't want that. We don't want that.
The only way you're going to do this is that people just got to come together and say, so we are not going to vote Labour, Conservative, Liberal. We're not going to vote for the Greens. Not going to vote for these people. We're going to vote for people who actually matter to us. And they're people like normal people like you, me, whatever, Spear, Paul, Tidy Wells here. Anybody who's got a brain and thinks, what is it? Why am I here? I'm not here because I want a second home in Westminster, or I want a £147,000 a year expense account. I'm here to represent the people I'm here. So I'd like 650 people in there who have a consensus, not about the plus and the minus, but they all got an opinion, and they get a opinion, they put their argument forward, and you sit and listen to reasonable argument, and you hear the plus, and then you say that's a good idea, and you act on it. Not here by saying things like, I mean, this government is shit. Okay, but what are the opposition saying? Well, what would you do? Well, until we get into government, we can't really make that. We can't make that. We don't know. We'll have to look at the books, see how the economy is. Well, the economy is shit. We know that because it's been fucked. It was fucked over 2 years ago by Boris. And isn't it a good idea? Wouldn't it be a good idea? We locked everybody up for 2 years. Well, basically, that's all been dispelled. Even masks have been dispelled, and they want to bring them back. Well, even they've been told time and time again, they do fuck all. All they do is make you sick because they clog up your mouth, full up with germs and bacteria, and you breathe that in and out. Is that any good? No, it isn't. Nothing better than free, clean, fresh air. If you're going to cough and spit, you a handkerchief. If you blow your nose, you don't gob it into your face mask, which is basically what you're doing. You get a handkerchief and blow your nose, and you dispose of it as you should do. So this is bollocks. So lockdowns don't matter, masks don't matter, and the vaccines have been proved to be fucking murderous because more people are dying just like that than at any other time on the planet. Why is that?
Is it a religion, Mike? Is COVID-19? Is it a religion?
It's like
veganism.
It's a cult.
It's a cult, isn't
it? It's veganism. It's in a syringe. Because I mean, these like vegans. I mean, they do the most extraordinary, go the most extreme. They don't eat this, don't eat that. I mean, how on earth did we come from? Did we have an empire? How on earth have we been here for 1 million years? How on earth have we managed to stay alive when they were eating nuts and berries and everything else and started eating flesh and and doing all the things we do? How on earth did all this come about? It wasn't through not eating, wasn't through not eating meat. It was by having a balanced diet. And when people thrust upon it, you can't eat, we're going to go into a shop and pour milk and shit all over your food because we don't want you here. How fucking dare you? How dare you tell me what I can and can't do? How dare you go in there and say to me,
Wow.
I can't have this? Who the fuck are you to tell me what I can and can't do? I'm
They're-
not breaking the law. You're breaking the law.
They are breaking the law, and now they're introducing smart cities, these things to Canterbury and Stratford or wherever it is. And I've said, well, if the people are stupid enough that they can only go out of their zone 100 times a year, then then they deserve it, because I fail to see how that's ever tolerable. Freedom of expression, freedom of movement. I've said to a lot of people, and I don't get direct responses, and I just want a direct response, a yes or no will do me fine, because I like facts. And we all seem to think we're free, and I say, well, define freedom. Freedom defined is the ability to do what you want when you want without hindrance or let. That's true freedom. So when you've got to get in a car and you've got to pay tax, insurance, and have one of these wonderful pieces of paper to prove you've got the right to do that, you might think you're free, but that's not true freedom. That's not true freedom. True freedom is you've got a car, it's yours, no one can take it off you, you get in it and you go from A to B in your pursuit of happiness. That's freedom. And when I pull people on that and say the latter, where you've got to fulfill these obligations, is slavery, because someone's claiming to be your master. There's no due process of law. You've not been found guilty by a jury of your peers. You've not done nothing wrong. But because you won't furnish your master with certain elements, your freedom is bought. You've bought and purchased your freedom. But many people can't face that. They can't face the reality of what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is God's honest truth. That's a God's honest truth. If you're free, you don't beg a man for anything. You don't beg a man to use your roads. You don't beg a man to live in a house. You don't beg a man to bring your kids up the way you want to bring your kids up. You tell any man that wants to poke his nose in your fucking Harris, tell him to fuck off. Unless they've got real proper grounds that what you're doing is not proper. And this all comes from education. If a kid comes out of the womb and that kid goes to preschool, you teach the kid love, respect, don't cause no trouble. They go to primary school, you teach them the same. You teach them that in secondary school. It's just love, decency. You teach them properly. When they leave school, all of a sudden, you've got responsible people. You've not got idiots walking and roaming the fucking earth that's been indoctrinated by an education system that don't work, that just regurgitates. The education system is a regurgitating. It's like a bird that's regurgitating vomit. That's all that happens. And when most people come out of school, because I can remember sitting in school years ago thinking, what have I actually learned today? Have I learned anything about the real world? Am I just following a pattern? And that's where I stepped off, because I looked at it when I was a kid thinking, I'm just following a pattern here. I'm following everybody. And I thought, fuck that, I'm getting off this ride. I'm going to walk my own way. And that's what I've always done. So the God's honest truth is a real bitter pill to swallow. How can Boris Johnson have the right to take your car off you, bash you over the head and put you in a cell because you won't bend to his way? That's not government, because government is, the law is the birthright of the people, and the government can't do anything to the prejudice of the people. So if that's the case, how is it they get to take our kids, our homes and our cars? How is that, Mike?
Because we've allowed it.
There you go. That's the God's honest truth. What you've just said there is the perfect answer. We've allowed it.
It's true. The thing is, the people being brought up in schools now, the kids are being taught by communists and left-wingers. They are taught about what a rotten country this were. We were whites, we were slavers. We did do nothing. We robbed and pillaged our way, and this. We didn't have an empire. We were a dictatorship. But they forgot. Yes, we did some horrible stuff abroad. Yes, we did. But a lot of these countries would not be the countries they are today. Like India would not be the country it is today. And you can argue this. We brought a lot of semblance of order there. We gave a sense of government. We united the country, and then of course we disunited the country. But I mean that through religion. thing. I mean, but take Africa, parts of Africa. We made Africa better. South Africa. Look what's happened to all of Africa since the British flag doesn't fly over government house anymore. They're shit shows. There are places where there is no government, and what government there is, they're more interested in having sex, taking drugs, and fleets of Mercedes cars and robbing the people. Look at Mugabe.
Right.
Mugabe was the prime minister, living in absolute splendour, with billions spirited away in the banks. Okay, billions in the banks around the world, and these people living in squalor. Couldn't get in the hospital, weren't any. And they voted him in. And then they couldn't vote him in because he declared himself a dictator, and he was there for life. He was president for life. And when they did have it, he fixed the gut like they do now in America. They fix the elections.
They do. Last week, on my Facebook, I did a video, and during that video, I shared some information on a country called Switzerland. And I can throw this one out there, and we can talk about guns. We can talk about guns right here, right now. And the people that are watching this and people around this country will spit feathers. You can't have guns. Oh, guns kill people. Guns are bad for us. Guns do this, guns do that. And I say...
Dave, just a point before you carry on. Guns don't kill people. People kill people.
That's exactly that. So I then turned around and said, well, I don't want to get into that debate. I'm going to show you a model, and the model is Switzerland, and I'm going to tell you and give you some very hard facts about Switzerland. Switzerland, 90% of their people have guns, high-velocity rifles, because the people of Switzerland are their army, and they're ready to go in 5 minutes. This is why no one's ever invaded them. The point I'm getting to, they're very educated people. They know love, they know respect, they know honour, they love all that sort of stuff. Their crime rate is 0.5%. Nobody's out shooting anybody. Nobody's out raping anyone. A woman can walk down the street safely. So there lies the case. I don't really have to say anymore. But people in this country will still defend, you can't have guns, you can't have guns, we've got to have our public servants, we've got to have all the weapons, blah, 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 blah. Because Switzerland, their people are their army, and their army is their people. They've all been brought up properly. They're not killing each other.
The thing is, Dave, in America, the government there, they want to disarm the population.
Well,
now,
yeah.
Hang on, but I wonder why. Why would the American government, the Democratic Party, want to get rid of all the people's guns in America? The SA-80, where the
SA-80.
The AS, this automatic, and it's not about being an automatic rifle. There's no automatic rifles for sale in America. You still have to pull the trigger every time you take a shot. You don't just do like a machine gun, just hold your trigger and just blast away. That's bullshit. The only guns you can buy in America are...
Well, the pistols are automatic, aren't they?
Sorry?
The pistols are automatic.
Yeah,
no,
pistols can build, mate.
No, you still have to keep pulling the trigger.
No,
yeah.
I've seen plenty of videos from over there.
No, so what a revolver does, what a SIG does, a SIG can take 16 rounds, 1 in the pipe, 15 in the mag. You cock it, you rack it, you pull it. As the cartridge flies out, it racks itself, and you have to pull the trigger again. It just won't go. It cocks and racks.
There are fully automatic.
There could be.
Pistols, there are, but they're modifications. And they're used by special forces, but which are not for sale. Well, you could buy anything. You could buy anything. If you go to Ukraine, you could buy anything you want in Ukraine on the black market. Any weapon you like, all captured from the Russians. You can buy Kalashnikovs, you can buy Nagants, you can buy anything you want. Everything you want. Okay, that's it. In America, they've got the majority of Americans. 99.9% of Americans are law-abiding citizens. Okay, strength. But you've got, like every country, like this country, you've got people who get guns one way or the other and do horrible things with it, and that's what they do. And that's a fact. So it's not a fact that you can't ban guns, because people will always get guns. I mean, I know where I can go 3 places and go and buy a gun tomorrow. If I really want it, costs 900 quid each. Then I have to buy the bullets. But that's besides. So I know where I can go and buy a gun illegally. So
if
it's
the
bullshit.
if the people of this country were sensible, and if the majority of people in this country still had arms indoors to defend their castle, would the state party right now be doing what they're doing?
No.
There you go. There you
If
go.
a policeman comes storming in your house without a warrant, you shoot him dead.
There you go.
That's what happened to Kenny Noy. That's like if I remember, Kenneth Noy, he shot a policeman in the grounds of his house, and he said it was a trustman, and he shot him and got away with it. You know.
There you go.
And all them years, I think it was Kenneth Noy. I think it was, or his house. So that's what happened. It was a long, long time ago. But I mean, when you, as far as I'm concerned, I've got no problem with guns. We used to have guns up until the 80s when they banned all handguns because of what went on. Michael Ryan. That's right, and people like that. So basically, so he had a gun, so he was a nutcase. But all the people that have, they weren't all fucking nutcases. A lot of people I knew had handguns. They'd already had 20 or 30 pistols. Okay, did they give them up? No, they fucking didn't. They still got them.
Didn't that play nicely into the hands of the state, though, didn't it?
Oh, of course, they loved it, didn't they? Take away all your guns. I mean, all you've got now, you can still have a rifle, but like a single shot rifle. And I think
and bows and crossbows and all that.
Yeah, crossbow kill, yeah, as well. I mean, the next thing. But I mean, the thing is, the police can have all these guns and everything else and tasers. I mean, it's the most appalling things that go on with the police, tasering people for no reason. Guy's got his hands up, he gets tasered.
So we got to stop that. This I watched a documentary on Switzerland about 5 years ago, strangely, and this guy that was doing the documentary, I think twice a year they go to the ranges in Switzerland and they have competitions who's the sharpest sharpshooter because it keeps them fresh because the people are their army. But he said he went to one of the concentration camps, Dachau or Belsen or which one. And when he was looking at the artifacts, the suitcases, the glasses, the slippers, the shoes, this little woman was taking it in and she was crying. And he gave her a hug. And in his mind, he's saying to himself, I'm so glad that this would never happen in my country because they're all their army. They're all educated in wisdom. You don't go shooting your neighbour. You don't pull a gun out when you have a discrepancy. But their education is got to be love. Their schooling system must be because they'd be off the rails otherwise. So I think the state has purposely done this. Look at the police now. They've got weapons, taser sticks, machine guns, and they're running amok. Why? Because the people of this country have been disarmed. And Adolf himself said, if you want to control a nation, first you must disarm its people. Well, there you go. So we have traitors in government. Our government is treasonous and seditious.
Yeah, but hang on, Dave. There's one thing the government forget, is what I always said. All those people I know who had legal guns handed some in. They didn't hand them all in.
No, they didn't.
No, they didn't. And a lot of them still got them. If push comes to shove and we're on the barricades, you'll be surprised how many of these well-armed blue are going to turn up.
I've got to tell you this story, Mike. I was speaking to Cockney Patriot just before Christmas. We were going up to family. And he phoned me up. We was going around the M40. And I said, you're right, Mucker. And he said, Dave, you're going to love this one. I said, what's that? He said, I've just had some bailiff round. I said, oh, tasty? He went, nah. He said, I've opened the door. They've seen me crossbow on the wall. And he said, right, lads, this is how it's going to go. Either I'm coming out dead today because I'm righteous or you're going out fucking dead. And if you make one step to walk in here, you're getting it. And they went, no, mate, you're all right. We'll just come to have a chat. So he said, well, jump on me boat. And he said, I'll bring a pot of tea out and some biscuits. And they went, yeah, all right. So they jumped on his boat and he's brought the tea and the biscuits out. And there's 2 or 3 of these bailiffs there and they're having a chat. And he said, well, why are you here then? He said, we're here because we want you to stop ringing our call centre. He said, what do you mean? He said, you're ringing our call centre every day. He said, and you've demoralised our staff. He said, and you've demoralised them so bad that they're talking about going off sick and ill with mental this, that, the other, because you're fucking giving it to them. That our boss of this bailiff company, Jacobs, Marstons, whoever it is, has actually paid your fine. And he went, well, that's very nice of him. He said, and the bailiff said, so will you please stop ringing our office? This is why we're here, to get you to stop ringing our office. Would you? And they had a big hug, high-fiving, they had their lovely cups of tea, and then they went sorting off down the road. Now, that's a fucking story, isn't it?
That's
Eh?
a win, isn't it? He's saying that on the bottom. He said, we've imported army, they're tooled up. Yeah, they have. They've got an imported army, they are tooled up, but tea and biscuits on the boat. It sounds good, doesn't it? From the QE2 or something, isn't it? Very nice. But I mean, it's as far as what's this? I got banned. You got banned.
Mate, you got to make them have it. I've over the years, right? When I look at the things that I've done, there was a couple of instances. One with a bailiff in 2013. So we're in 2023, and it's 10 years ago. This Mark Thompson put this note through my letterbox, and I thought, I'm not going to be so nice on this one. So I phoned him up and I said, Mark, open your ears. He said, what's up? I said, if you touch me when I'm out, travelling around, going about my business, or you come to my house causing me fucking mayhem, either I'm going to kill you or you're going to kill me. One of us is going to get hurt. I said, I don't care who you fucking bring. And to this day, I've never heard another word from him. And I did it with a solicitor that made my missus cry. I phoned him up at his place of work. He wanted some dog insurance because my dog barked at this engineer. And this engineer hurt his hand. It was his own silly fault. He shouldn't have been on site. I told him to sit outside in his motor. But nonetheless, I said to this solicitor, bruv, if you make my missus cry one more fucking time or she gets one more thing from you, I said, you got your way. You got your pens, gold pens, lovely paper. I said, I got my way. I said, and let me tell you now, I'm going to put you in hospital for a fucking long time. And he went, is that a threat? I went, no, it's a promise. I said, I promise you now, God is my witness, you come again, I'm fucking going to do for you. And I never heard another word from him. So there's quite a bit of merit when you find that spirit within you and you fucking tell them straight that you're righteous, but you're not putting up with their shit. They do take a different view and they go, oh, hang on a minute. This is a Rottweiler instead of the little Chihuahua that we're used to. It's good. It's good. It's a good place to come from, I tell you. It's a good place to come. What? No, and the thing is, the bailiff firms, the old bill kicking people's doors in and laughing about it when they got the wrong one. They're coming there with chainsaws and angle grinders to get in your house. If half this population in this country had their fucking guns back, that state party would not be doing anything that unlawful. Their legal system would fuck off because they know if they come, there's going to be a war. Because we all have the right under natural law to defend our lives and our property. Because if we don't, what's the point in being here? What is the actual point in being here? If these people from the state can just come and run a fucking mock, what's the point, Mike?
I agree with Dave, but just going back to that one there, Richie Sunak didn't swear on the Bible to defend the faith. He swore on his own, whatever his religion is. That's not what I call British or English. You know, he's supposed to be the British Prime Minister. He's a fucking Muslim or whatever he is. You know, he's not, or a Hindu. That's not that. How can we have a guy who's not of our faith, a Christian, being Prime Minister? I don't get it. I don't get it. We are a Christian country, and we're being
it's all multi-faith now. It's all King Charles, whatever he's the wing that himself. He went on telly at the Christmas thing, and he said, you know, we're multi-faith. We, you know, which is, look, the country's a melting pot. We are. There's good and bad in everyone. There's good and bad. And to be honest with you, there's a group of people, I mentioned them earlier on in the show, that I've absolutely got all the time in the world for, and that's the Sikhs. Okay, they're solid businessmen. They love their business acumen, but I'll tell you now, the things they do locally and their actual ethos and beliefs and the way they go about stuff, I tell you, you'd find it hard to beat the Sikh mentality. They're proper people.
And they're very pro-British and all.
Proper pro-British.
Yeah.
Or English.
Yeah, they are. And that's true. But
so, like
said,
right?
You see that? You just see the ticket that was just up. To me, I just don't get it. Defend the faith. You know?
Well, that's what Charles said. He said Christmas Day, you know, we defend the faiths, and we are. This country is full of different different people. The demographics changed, which ain't a problem for me as long as everyone's sensible and decent and nice.
The church is. I don't believe in the church. I think the
It's
church.
satanic.
No, it's protection racket, Dave.
All it is. That's all it is.
Well, I mean, the thing is, how is it you can go to the church, give them £1 million, and you get absolved of all your sins? Right? Now, Dominic the 16th died. I sent you, didn't I? And he's whispering to Pope Francis, gone, don't forget to microwave the hard drive. And that's probably what it's all about, you know? So, because, I mean, the Vatican are culpable of the most appalling crimes against children. And they're there. It's all about money. It's graft. It's about power. And it's got nothing to do with religion. Why do you need a man with £100,000 worth of gold, or the gold staff, all this bollocks, to talk about Jesus and talk about God? I mean, I don't get that. You've got this and you've got that. That's all you need. These two things, as long as you believe in the Bible and all that, and all the teachings that are there. Don't have to believe in all of it, because some of it, there's a lot in there that you must believe in, and what we must believe is the Ten Commandments.
How many of these 650 politicians, whoever they are, if you went back 200 years, for the things that they're doing now, today, how many of them wouldn't have been tried for sedition and hung?
Or treasonous.
Yeah.
All of them. Not one of them. Not one of them got the best interests of the country at heart. They've got no interest in anything other than themselves and making themselves. I mean, the thing is, if you take them out of Parliament, okay, put them in the street, okay, so give them nothing, how would they survive? They couldn't survive. They couldn't get eaten.
I do question where this all goes. I mean, I don't know. I want, my ethos is for everybody to have a nice life, to be happy, to be safe, and to be secure in their property. And only by the due process of law, if you're a complete idiot and a twat, would you ever come under any scrutiny. I'm fed up with these fake warrants, fake courts, fake police. I think we should all be fed up with that right now. And I actually think that many police are fed up themselves.
Can I make? I hate the police, but this happened last night. This is absolutely true. Why wouldn't it be? I tell lies. Last night, a friend of mine, she phoned me up 11:15 last night and said, "I've just been threatened to have my face slashed and be murdered." And I said, I sort of, and what she was on, she's on one of these match chat rooms. And she got into a chat room where she wasn't supposed to be. And the chat room she got into, she was allowed in because someone using her identity had been using it to talk to these people about sex, drugs, and all kinds of disgusting things. So she went on to it inadvertently, and they suddenly found out it wasn't her. So what they said was, she managed to take pictures of all of them. And she got them, and she actually taped what they said to her. Okay, now I said to her, "What have you?" She said, and you could almost hear her teeth chatter. She was so absolutely terrified, this woman. And the police, I said, "Ring the police." She rang the police, and the police said, "We will have someone there first thing in the morning." And fuck me, I said, "I'll be over at 9 o'clock." When I got there, they'd been there since 8 o'clock in the morning, going through, taking the whole thing, and it's been a thorough out-and-out investigation into this because they've tried to take her identity, they're trying to take all her money, they've been trying to take everything she owns away from her. Okay, and the police are now looking into this. Now, as far as I'm concerned, that's what the police are for. That's what they're protecting.
Yeah.
To protect the population, not to stand outside number 10 with a machine gun saying you can't come in here, even though it's a public road, we've got a gate across it. How dare you put a gate across? It's for security. Security from who? A security from me? Am I a security risk? No. Why can't I walk up a road in London? Why am I barred from walking up a road which is only gated because Maggie Thatcher said she's going to get killed by the IRA? Well, they tried that in Brighton. They didn't happen, thank goodness. But that's it. But
have a read of what Cockney Patriot's saying, Mike. Go on, give us your verdict on what he's saying.
Only process with can only call you not a door visit, so just keep calling it. Well, what can you say? It's. You see, the thing is, people like you and you know, majority of people don't know how to take them on. You have a formula where you can take these people on. If Patriot there was to come on here one night and say and spend 10 minutes and say, look, and perhaps you should do that, Patriot, and come on and say, I'm going to give you the rudimentary of what I say to these people to wind them up. And let people get clued up. So when they do have occasion, or they do want to have a wind up with these people, or they do have a problem, they've prepped up and prepared to do it. Just like you do every week, Dave. You give some information about how to not pay this, how to not do that, how to avoid this, how to do that. Like the council tax, all that, and what they do and what they don't do. So it might be a good idea if you actually did that. But I mean, to me. It's a way of screwing with the people, trying to screw you, and it's like scoring a goal against the opposition, which feels really good.
Well, my mate was in court a few weeks ago. He went randomly into a court in Yorkshire somewhere, settle, and he'd been dealing with this woman clerk, and he turned around and said to her with passion and feeling, he said, people out there now, for the things that you're doing by taking their kids, their houses and all their other stuff, they're killing themselves. And he said, you and all the people residing and sitting on these cases in this building should be ashamed of yourself. And she run off crying. This court clerk run off crying. Bawling her eyes out. He said, you should be ashamed of yourself, what you're doing to the people of this country. You should be thoroughly ashamed. Stealing their property, stealing their kids, stealing their homes, stealing their cars. Who do you think you are? And she went off crying her eyes out because he touched her right in the centre of her heart. He told her straight with passion and feeling.
If that woman's got a heart, I don't believe it. I need video evidence.
I was waiting for someone to say it.
Fucking serpents, a lot of them.
Well, I've got to say, it's been a really interesting program tonight.
Yes.
The idea of having an organisation or a company, if you like, that could take on through its membership and not be sort of pushed around by successive, because at the end of the day, Dave, around the world now, I think there's only 3 insurance companies. I think it's 3. There's only going to be 2 or 3 energy companies, like petrol companies at some point, if there isn't already. You only have to look at who owns what. If you look at like Vanguard own everything, and BlackRock, they're owned by Vanguard as well. So there are 2 big companies, and then the Rothschilds right at the top of the tree, as we all know. Where do they make their money from? Wars. And what if we were really wealthy, we would just invest in arms and make a fortune by selling arms to all the trouble spots like they do, like these people do it. A friend of mine years ago used to drive a guy, and he didn't live anywhere. He lived around the world, and he had a 6-wheel Range Rover. And all it was, he had 1 seat in it at the back, and he was surrounded by telephones and everything, and he had air was all right coming out of it. And he used to go around the world and he'd take this thing with him, and that was his office. He could communicate with anybody and lived in hotels. And eventually he was blown up. I think my mate must be blown up, so I know of him either. But he was murdered. And but that's basically what it should. That's where the money is. It's not about like doing. It's about making money, and that's what happens. But I mean, getting back to reality. Reality is that we really do need to something to do to take on the people who are costing us money. Why is it energy companies who are brokers? Brokers are charging 40 today standing charge. What do they actually standing charge to do? What to do? What? Oh, for the infrastructure. That's done by the national grid. So what are we actually paying 42 pence a day for?
The grid, the grid pays for that.
Why are they allowed to charge us huge amounts of money? The government take windfall tax. They shouldn't be charging that fucking money in the first place.
If the energy company is talking about disconnection, you should be asking about the way leave agreement and telling them you want to see the way leave agreement, because if they disconnect you, then you can demand via that way leave agreement that they come and take every bit of property of theirs that they're deeming to own off your property, which might mean digging up your driveway, having your vegetable patch up, and then you're going to insist that they put it back exactly how they found it, and then that can run into some serious cash. And at that point, they normally come along and say, "Don't worry about it. We'll leave things as they are." It's their system. They use deception, lies, and trickery. Before we disappear, there was a fabulous little short podcast a couple of days ago. Two guys, I can't think what his name is, but he said he goes into court with two books. One's the Oxford English Dictionary and one's Black's Law. And he asked them, he said, I don't let the train leave the station. He said, I ask them one very simple question. What language are we speaking here today? Oxford Dictionary or Black's Law? And he said, and then when they're all clucking around on their seats because they realise you've figured out what they're getting up to, he said, I ask them one more question. Do you see a man stood before you or a person? And if they answer person, he said, well, you've all got mental health issues. May I suggest you go and see a doctor, and you need to revisit all the cases you've sat on because clearly you're not of straight mind. And at that point, you're out of court, the case disappears and gets dismissed because they can't deal with that because you've highlighted their fraud. Now, he'd done that in 2 minutes. Guys, learn from the things that we talk about, but don't only learn from it. Go and do your own research. Go and find out for yourself and get an half measure of what's going on. But before I do go, Michael, summing up, and Spearthrower summing up, what you got to say?
Well, we've survived another week, haven't we? So that's good news.
That is good news. Great sum up.
All I'm going to say is, Dave, I've got my braces on. I'm going down pub later for a pint, but I'm going to change that a £20 note so I can have 2 pints of beer. I'll probably get about 30 pence change out of 20 quid. That's fucking.
Is that where you're going now?
Yeah, I'm going out for a drink now. Can I have a swift
Hey, good boy. I shall come over one night, Mike, and go out and have a few beers with you. I'll come over Westmoreland. We're going.
I tell you how expensive it get. Over Christmas, eating and drinking, two of us, £2,000.
Oh my days!
It was £2,000. £550 for Christmas lunch. How can it?
We've gone mad. Anyway, I've got to go because my missus is in bed with laryngitis. I don't want to miss it. I'll see you all.
I cannot recommend throat lubrication.
Don't go down. This is a family show. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for caring, daring to share and care. Spearthrower, as always.
God bless you, man. See you later.
And we'll see you all next week, people. And we'll see you soon. Take care. God bless.